welcome to episode 40 of TerrorVision Horror Podcast. I'm your host, I'm one of your hosts, Dan McGuinness, and joining me on the Midnight Meat Train is my co-host, Jennifer the Dream Warrior Strand.
Toot toot.
Toot toot. Every week... That threw me off. Every week we take one horror movie and cut it to pieces with our internet words. That's what we do on this podcast. I should have said that in a different order. Together we are two people with a love of horror and feel the burn of our obsolete Blockbuster / Movieland memberships. I'd just like to thank all of our listeners who support us over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, and the YouTube. We love you guys. And girls, we can't do this without you. And yeah, we just want to throw a bit of love out there. Just ejaculate some love into your face.
It is the month of love.
Is it?
It's February. It's Valentine's Day.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Well, my birthday is on the 18th. So
Yes.
I'm just all like, my birthday. And then it's like February 14th. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, what am I going to do? What are you going to do?
Oh, I'm going to organise a love pageant. Going to get floats to go down our street for my wife, and then ending it with probably a massive drag show with me coming up out of a giant cake and then dolphins being eaten at the end.
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Well, it's the way I like to roll. Anyhow, our fun fact for the week about ourselves is nothing to do with drag queens and eating dolphins.
Nope.
Is my fun fact is that I have a certificate too in airbrushing.
That's interesting. So, if I were to buy a van, like a big pedophile type van, you'd be able to airbrush some amazing wolf howling at the moon kind of motif. No,
I said cert 2. I could airbrush a very bad picture of I think I just did one of my high school friends, because you just had to do photos where you cut the bits out, and I got okay at it, but I never ever used it ever again in my life. I bought the compressors, I had airbrushes, I thought it would be something I did. I was fully into Giga at the time, and I wanted to learn, and it's so hard. It made me appreciate his stuff so much more. Airbrushing is hard.
Yes,
airbrushing is hard to make it look how he makes it look photorealistic. Anyone can do a wolf howling at the moon and make it look like, graffiti style or whatever. But I never, it just escaped. It's one of my big regrets of learning it, getting all the gear and not using it. Yeah.
But you're still young. You can probably go back to it.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, no, I could, but I'm starting to paint Warhammer. That should have been my fact next week.
Are you starting to paint Warhammer?
Shh. Next week's fact.
Oh.
It's going to be so deep and wicked.
I can't wait for this.
Except, what's your fun fact for the week?
Okay, so I've just completely forgotten to do a fun fact, so I'm just going to throw out my first celebrity crush.
Oh.
So my first celebrity crush was Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman in Batman Returns.
Batman Returns?
And I was 6 or 7 at the time when it came out.
Yeah.
I reckon. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Something, I don't know. And she's still a foxy lady today.
Is Michelle Pfeiffer the Basic Instinct girl?
No, that's Sharon Stone.
Oh, yeah.
She was in the terrible Catwoman remake with Halle Berry that we do not speak about.
Oh, that's the Catwoman I was thinking of when you said Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah, but yeah.
Batman Returns, Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
Penguin.
don't you like Halle Berry?
No one likes Halle Berry.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Has she been cancelled?
I don't know. Who hasn't been cancelled?
Us. Yes. I did. I got cancelled off my other... I don't do my other show anymore. I'm out. I don't do How the Dino.
That's great.
All right. So, yeah, well, okay. So that's it. My first crush was probably the lady fox in the Disney animated Robin Hood.
I hear that a lot. A lot of people are like, oh, my first crush was this animated character and that animated character.
Because you watch cartoons the most.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, nothing goes past Trent Lane and Jane Lane from Daria.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone crushed hard on them.
Well, I didn't because I only saw Daria recently.
Really?
Yeah, for the first time. I just watched it all in one go.
You were robbed. It's such a good show.
I don't know why I didn't see it, hey?
Yeah. Might have just been out of that bracket.
I did have a massive chunk of my life when I just didn't watch TV for probably 7 years. All I did was skateboard.
Okay. That's fair.
And play video games.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't think my TV was even tuned into channels. This is back in the days when you tuned it in.
Oh, my God. I still remember tuning it. And then with the bunny ears and you're just trying to set them just right.
And stuff like that. And tracking on videos. Yes. Oh, just tracking.
Yep. Or you have to get your younger brother to stand there and be like, okay, just stand there and hold it like that. So for the next half an hour.
And now let's move on to our spoiler cause. Yes, every week Jennifer and I set ourselves a horror movie to watch, and then we go through it scene by scene and spoil the fuck out of it. It's a deep dive into glorious gore, hard edits, cheesy acting, directing madness, severed wings.
Severed wings.
Severed wangs and compound fractures and buffalo wings. Why not? We got a rating system?
Yes.
What is it, Gin?
All right. So for those of you playing at home, we've got A, which is awesome. Everybody should watch. B is our beer and chicken wing group movie. F is fun and dumb. C is a classic that's worth a watch. U is underrated. G is good for its time but is not held up. We've got the J Jen special, the D Dan special. We've got a whatever. W. Whatever.
Whatever. Fuck off.
Fuck. Yeah. Fuck. We've got the Kesha, which is a low budget hot mess. And the McConaughey. Which is the fucking fucked.
Yeah, like the shit. Like, what the shit
it's
dicks?
The cream of the crap.
Yeah, it's like, stop chopping my own dick off and hitting me in the face with it. Like that kind of movie.
Yeah. Which is usually somewhere... Also, I feel that the McConaughey is also somewhere lingering between, like, a J special as well.
Yeah, well, which is... Or a Kesha. Mm-hmm. And this week, we watched Child's Play 2 from 1990. Now, I chose Child's Play 2 last week because I had fond visions of it having the most amount of doll carnage. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, as we'll see, it's not as much as I remembered, but
no.
it actually was and it wasn't. We'll get into that.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. So, directed by John LaFia. LaFia. Screenplay is by Don Mancini. He did the first one as well. I think he had the story for the first one, not the script, but yeah, came back as this. So it also stars Alex Vincent returning as Andy, Garrett Graham.
Man, Andy must have been so young in the first one, eh? Because he was young in this.
He was, he still was, because this, what year did the first one come out? 87?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, Garrett Graham.
I know.
From TerrorVision, he's in it.
I was like, why do I know that guy when he was coming up? And I looked at my TerrorVision dad. I'm like, fucking, of course it is. I think those people in TerrorVision just went on to do heaps of other shit, every single person in it.
Pretty much, yeah. And then Brad Dourif is returning as the voice of Chucky.
He's such a good voice of Chucky.
He is. This one is interesting as well because he was not actually on set.
He just did it all. He's phoned it all in.
He pretty much, he
off campus
pre-recorded it, which is why it sort of sounds a little bit less interactive, if that makes sense. It does seem like it's a reacting to this instead of an interaction.
He never kind of looks at anyone and goes, huh? Yeah.
It had a $13 million budget and grossed over $35.8 million. So I'm going to say that's a win.
That's a win. I love the win ones. Mm-hmm. Nothing's won as much as Friday the 13th. I think that's the most winner in budget ever that I've seen in a horror movie so far.
Yep.
All right, so what's it, synopsis?
All right. Look out, Jack. Chucky's back.
Good.
Who's Jack?
It's Jack in the Box.
Oh, yeah.
Because like the original poster.
On the cover, he's got the
Yeah, he's like chopping the Jack in the Box guy off with a giant pair of scissors, which never happens. Doesn't matter.
I never put two and two together until right this moment.
It only works when you're reading the line with the poster.
Watching, yep. Okay. So when Andy's mother is admitted to a psychiatric hospital, the young boy is placed in foster care, and Chucky, determined to claim Andy's soul, is not far behind.
Bom, bom, bom.
Bom, bom, bom. Couple of fun facts before we start.
Yep.
Despite not reprising her role, Catherine Hicks, who played the mother, was consistently on the set because her husband, Kevin Yeager, operated the animatronic Chucky doll.
Did Kevin Yeager do some of the other stuff we've done recently with animatronics?
Yeah. And this film is the shortest Child's Play movie yet at 84 minutes, which is great. I love a short film.
So do I. I know all horror films should be short.
Yeah. I watched Host the other day on Shudder.
The Host, as in the Korean one?
No, Host. It's basic. It's like a 54-minute film, and it's shot entirely on Zoom. It was made last year. It was one of the best horror films of last year.
Oh, yeah. Host is... Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like... What was that other one? Unfriended.
Yeah. Well, this one is shot entirely on Zoom, so it goes for the entirety of the Zoom, Zoom.
Was it one take?
Might have been. It was really good. It was about these group of girls who decided to do a seance and it goes wrong, but it's like over the internet. It was really good.
Electro ghosts.
I neglected to tell my girlfriend that it was about ghosts because she doesn't like ghost stuff. So
really?
Yeah. There are two things that freak her out most, and that's ghosts and aliens.
Yeah. Oh, well, them are... ghosts are just so boring to me. They're just like farts. Remember, they come ground ghosts and stuff like that. Anyway, let's get into it.
Yep.
Screen. It opens. So, black screen, white titles, very textbook.
Yeah.
Like, menacing orchestra music. It's like, did you get the menacing kind of like, and we can hear it right now.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So that was all good. And I was just like, yeah, this is pretty stock standard when it started.
It is.
Did you think that?
It was basically just like, oh, yep, another basic bitch opening. Sure, let's... Yeah. That's fine. But then it leads into this, the title sequence leads into, like, Chucky's eyeballs. So the eye sockets. We get this, like, fade out, and it's the burnt Chucky.
Yeah, so
from the original film.
Yeah, which was a really good scene when he comes out all burning and walking towards Andy. So, yeah. They do a lot of this in the Chuckies. The rebuild in the credits of him, I like it.
Yeah, no, I like it too because it kind of shows, because you sit there going, wait, he was burned. Like, okay, sure. But yeah, so we get that from this. He's, so he's burnt out. Then we get this like weird limo driving cutscene.
So this whole scene is interspliced with just a limousine driving through the city.
Yeah.
But then there's like shots of like, close-ups of the burnt plastic getting scraped off. There's like Claire cleaning his like little doll teeth with dental gear.
Yep. No, that one still got... I don't like anything to do with teeth. Probably teeth and nails. I don't like. And so, once they started scraping at his teeth, I'm just like...
And they're cleaning him, they're cleaning him back all to bare metal.
Yeah,
they're shining it up. So, and then, so it's the new, so you're like, okay, so this is the thing I never understood. They have all these openings of rebuilding Chucky. There's always that one question at the end, why?
Yes.
Why did you fucking bother?
Yeah.
Like, it's one doll. And they try to explain it later on in the scene, but it still makes no sense.
Yeah, no.
So we've got these, like, the doll getting remade. Well, these are close-up shots as well. Yeah. Very arty. It's probably the artiest thing in the whole film. There's nothing else arty after that. It's all stock standard. Interspliced with this guy, and then we see them put, like, a new skin over him, like a new rubber skin onto the face, or pull it over and all that shit like that. And,
they're spray painting. They've got the stencil to airbrush on his little freckles and eyebrows. They're putting on new arms and legs. I think they're he's got new little overalls, new little shoes, new batteries, Yeah,
and a good guy branded batteries. Like yellow with, And then we see, we kind of see once he's finished, we sort of see this limousine pull up out the front of the good guy's factory, which is called something toys. What is it?
Play Pow Toys.
Play Pow Toys.
Yes, home of the good guy doll.
So we assume, I think this guy was just the CEO of the company.
Yeah.
And he was coming to visit the company after the disastrous... of Andy's first encounter with Chucky, which obviously went to the news.
Yes.
And they mentioned, so the bigwig CEO meets some business guys. He's walking down the hall and they talk about the first film, basically.
Yeah, so it's basically like Mr. Sullivan. He is the CEO of the company and he's heading into a stockholders meeting and he's talking to a lawyer. And he's basically just like reiterating that they were able to secure the doll from evidence and they've got it here now. They're pulling it apart, rebuilding it.
Why?
Yeah, they're rebuilding it head to toe. Because that's the big thing is like, it's fine. The mother's in the psychiatric hospital. And I think they probably had something to do with her going in there as well. Like they probably really pushed it. So Andy's in foster care. We have the doll. We've rebuilt it head to toe. Which...
Yeah, they were like, oh, we just think it was a malfunctioning voice box and someone played a joke, one of the employees, and recorded it as, I'm the Lakeside Strangler.
Yeah.
And that's what made him go off.
Yeah.
But don't worry, we've rebuilt the original doll and you can come have a look at it now. We're just putting in the eyes, the final thing.
Convenient. So we get this shot, the factory workers, they're putting on the final touches. And this scene's like kind of cool. Like I like how they were using the machine to insert the eyeballs.
Yeah.
That was
all
cool.
These great machines that make dolls. Like, and it's like this weird science of toy making where there's a whole giant room with a whole giant machine with 3 people working it that just puts eyes in dolls.
Yes. Yes. It just reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons where he's in the Malibu Stacy doll factory, and it's just like this one guy, like he's a big dude, cigarette hanging out his mouth, and then like the heads come and he just like dash the head, and there's like it's like there's a clog in the machine, and this guy just comes in with his like broom handle and he's like jamming the machine so that all the heads come out and he can keep reassembling them.
Yeah.
Glorious.
Anyhow, the CEO and the lawyer man, they go to a glass window. I don't know why. A room that is just purely to put eyes in dolls has a glass viewing window.
You know, sometimes school kids might come through and want to know how to put eyes in dolls.
And they watch. He goes, "Well, just put in the finishing touches on him. We can watch him like get mad." And the guy's like, "Okay." I don't know why he would. Anyhow, they go to start putting the eyes in Chucky. Chucky goes under. He's eyeless into this machine, and all of a sudden, it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Convenient.
And what happens then?
So something's stuck. They're doing the.
Wait, is it stuck?
It is. It's stuck. So that's basically come down. It's like opened up the eyes like Clockwork Orange style, and it's just not the eyes just aren't pressing in. So they're smacking it, and rather than calling in a tech, let's just hit it for a bit. One of the workers has got his hand on it, and then all of a sudden, it just sparks with electricity.
No, his machine works and it goes down. His eyes get put into Chucky, which is the factor, because now he's officially finished. His eyes glow red for some reason, and then lightning comes out of his eyes and basically buzzes the guy who's touching the machine, which blows him across the room through the viewing window in front of the CEO and the lawyer, and he's there all cooked and frying. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Chucky doesn't have any electric powers.
No, I'm thinking there was like a malfunction with the machine which was electrocuting his eyes as they were going in, which jolted him back to life, which sent out more electricity, which then killed the guy.
So you reckon this is the point where Chucky actually came back to life?
Yeah.
Like if this hadn't happened, he wouldn't have come back to life?
Yes.
Oh, I never got that.
Yes.
Yeah, but let's just say yes.
Yes. Let's say yes to that. Just say yes.
Yeah, just
say yes. Just go with it.
Anyway, after that, the CEO's kind of like, oh, no. And then we cut to end scene, and we cut to Andy at the orphanage, at an orphanage, a foster care home.
It's a foster home, yeah.
Foster home. He's like 8 years old or something, you reckon?
Yeah, he's young. He's very young.
And he's talking to a therapist in the foster care home, and he basically just relays the first film.
Yeah, yeah.
Like another relay of this in case you hadn't seen the first one.
Yeah,
he goes,
so
my Chucky doll attacked me.
It wasn't me, it was Chucky. He says that a lot again throughout this film. And it's like, I kind of feel...
It was Chucky.
It wasn't me, it was Chucky.
And the therapist kind of convinces him it was, no, it's just a very real dream. Yep. Even though your mum went to psychiatric care because of it, she must have dreamt it as well, but too much.
Everyone around you died, but it wasn't Chucky.
Everyone around you died. Your mum went to a mental institution, but it wasn't your doll.
Yeah, no, it's all in your brain. But yeah, Andy sits there and he reiterates the law of the doll. Like, Chucky he was the first person that Charles Lee Ray told his secret to, which meant he needed him to, swap his soul into the body.
For those who haven't seen Chucky, the first one, it's basically about Charles Lee Ray, the Lakeside Strangler. At the start of the first film, he's getting chased by police as a human. And then he gets shot, he bursts into a toy store, and he does like voodoo on a doll. Because he's like a voodoo serial killer, they called him or something?
Yeah.
He does some voodoo on a doll and transfers his soul into the doll, and he has like 24 hours to transfer his soul into a human or he gets stuck in the doll forever and turns into a fleshy doll or some shit. Anyhow, that's the story that they keep reiterating.
Yeah. So basically Andy just sits there and reiterates the law back to the therapist, and that's the end of that. So then we cut back to the medics. We're back at Play Pal Toys. The medics come into the factory. They're leading the poor dead guy out, and we notice that the Chucky doll's gone. Oh, it's no longer on the table. Where did it go?
Yeah.
So at this point, Mr. Sullivan and the lawyer, they're having a conversation. This is going to be bad for the stockholders. It's going to be bad for PR.
Gotta keep his death quiet.
Don't say anything about it. Let's just keep it quiet. And then, we see that the doll, Chucky's now by the door. He's sitting at the front door.
Because the bizman and the lawyer man were about to leave, and Chucky's just sitting up against the door. They got to go out, and they're like, they don't even think that's weird.
No, they're like, oh, the doll's now. Oh, okay, sure.
He picks up the doll and goes, "What do you want me to do with this doll?" And the lawyer and the CEO leaves. He goes, "You can stick it up your ass." It's one doll. Like, it's so much hassle.
Yeah, I would have just okay, this doll's causing a lot of grief. Let's just put it in a box and bury it.
So, if I was the guy, what was his decision with that? Like, they've still got a whole factory of them now.
Yeah.
That seemed made no sense. Yeah. It was just so they could say, "Stick this doll up your ass."
Pretty much, yeah.
Cut back to the foster home.
Yes. So we have Grace Poole, played by the mum from Twin Peaks, and also the Seinfeld. She's talking to a new couple about Andy. We are introduced briefly to The Simpsons.
The Simpsons.
Yep.
That's what I was laugh. I just called them The Simpsons from then on.
Yep.
I called him Mama Simpson or Dad Simpson.
Papa Simpson. She's saying, he's experienced trauma and he just needs a good home. And of course, the dad, he's just like, I don't really feel comfortable with this. Like, this kid seems to have a lot of issues. And
the dad's the worst foster parent.
Is most people that take in kids like that, they have training and experience dealing with children who have experienced trauma.
Yeah,
so
and they already have a foster kid.
That's why they're there.
Yeah, they already have a foster kid, and this dude is just like, "Oh, I don't want a foster kid with a problem." That's what foster kids are.
Yes.
That's why have you got? You've already got one as well.
So they end up taking Andy, and we cut to they're in the car. They've got Andy in the back. They're talking to him. They're like, "Oh,
you're where your new mum and dad."
Yeah, we'll make you whatever you want for dinner. It's fine. This is kind of like a needless scene, basically, and the car is then cut off by a Play Pal Toys.
Yes. So the dad has to slam on the brakes, and
he's sitting in the car, and
ominous as fuck truck slowly goes past them with the big good guys logo on the side. And there's that really good shot of and as it turns around the car, we see it from looking in the car, and we can see Andy looking out of the car, and you see the reflection of the big good guys, Chucky, going past him, boom, boom, boom.
Something coming for you, So it's a nice little scene, but also kind of a bit pointless.
Yeah.
But then we get.
You had to pan this film out a little bit longer. I mean, all their ideas are in the last 10 minutes.
It's so true. So then we are introduced to the nice suburban neighborhood that they live in. It's,
idyllic.
Just very idyllic.
It's so nice. I would love
children playing in the streets, trees,
America, every house is what? You don't have 6 stories on your house?
Yeah, right. And it probably costs half the amount.
They all have attics, they all have basements, they all have an upstairs. You know what I mean? And it would have cost nothing because houses were so cheap in America in that time. That's why there's all these idyllic neighborhoods now, and houses are still worth nothing.
Also abandoned ones too. So.
Yeah, whole neighborhoods.
It is a hideously decorated house though.
Oh my God, I wrote that as well.
It is disgusting. It's like a peach color with blue trim. It's got
a whole bunch of old crap. It looks like a 90-year-old grandma's house. It doesn't. It's like they just borrowed the house. It's something gross.
It's like, hey Nana, I'm filming a film, but we need a location. Can we just kick you out for the weekend? We'll put you up in a good hotel. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it's a terrible house. And then we get this talk. Andy walks in and looks at this porcelain doll.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, you like that one?" And we collect porcelain dolls. What are you guys, 100 years old?
But he's like, first rule, don't touch the old stuff. Okay, first of all, why the fuck would you have your house just completely littered with all this tchotchke bullshit, dust collecting trinkets that are expensive when you are a foster home with children coming in and out? Kids touch shit.
Yeah, I know.
Where are your lovely display cabinets, or put it in another fucking
Well, there were
room?
a lot in display cabinets, but their most precious one was not in one.
Well.
Anyhow, the mum goes on about, "It's been in my family for generations." The mum's very nice. She was she's nice the whole way through. We got to care about these kids. Yeah. Husband who doesn't care about kids. Why are we getting these kids if you hate them? Anyhow, Andy goes upstairs.
Yep.
And
here's some rock music playing.
What's that?
Yep.
What's that noise coming out of that room? Maybe I should investigate.
Every young kid drawn to rock music.
Exactly. He opens the door and we're introduced to Kyle.
Yes.
I never understood. Kyle, who is a girl.
Yes.
And And she's dressed as some like French artist mime.
Yeah, she's a badass. She's a quintessential 80s badass. She's sitting there with her little like, it's not even a beret. But
it's a backwards leather hat.
Yeah. She's just kind of laying on the bed smoking a cigarette. She's listening to her rock music. She's kind of all in black and she looks really cool. She's meant to be, she's 17.
Yeah, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, she's like the foster kid. Yeah, not that. Yeah, at least 16 or 17.
I think, 16 or 17. Played by a 25-year-old.
Ooh.
Yeah.
She's like the foster kid who's, gone from family to family because she doesn't fit in because she's too fucking punk rock and anarchist. And she doesn't, she's like, you don't understand my poetry.
That's right. She's like, I need to work because next year I'm 18, I'm out on my own. Yeah. So I'm going to need to work to save money because I'm going to need money because I'm going to have nothing soon. And the mum's just like, but until then, you're ass.
Like, yeah, and like, you could just say you could stay here.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
clearly got all
that's her character. And that's it.
Yeah. So the mum shows Andy to his room. It's full of toys, like really cool toys as well. Like he's going through and everything like that.
I think an Optimus Prime truck in there and stuff like that.
Know, right?
And she's like, all the kids.
He goes into the closet and he spies...
a skateboard.
He does. He spies a skateboard and he goes to grab it out and unfortunately knocks down a good guy doll.
Whoa.
Fuck. Trauma.
Shit.
Triggered.
And then, I know, these parents are terrible. And then the parents know.
Yeah.
The Simpsons know that Andy, what he has gone through. He knows that, like, he thinks his family was murdered by a whole bunch of good guys doll. He knows his mother's been put. They know his mother's been put in mental institution. They know he's seen so many deaths, and they're so unsympathetic about it to him. They're like, "Oh, sorry,
pretty much.
Yeah, that's not. That we probably should have removed the thing that you think has killed your family."
She did apologize. She's like, "Oh, look, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that we still had it. Like, we've had lots of kids come through here." But then
the dad runs in, Papa Simpson, and just starts giving Andy shit about it.
These people, like, I feel that he's the equivalent of the person that says to someone who has mental health issues, just stop being sad.
Yeah, he goes, he's like I'm not sad, so why are you sad?
Yeah, I'm experiencing a level of depression. Just stop being depressed.
Yeah, just don't think about it.
Yeah, you're fine.
Put it, push it down real low until you eventually just murder your family.
Yeah.
Or just masturbate until your dick bleeds. That's what I do.
So the good guy doll is named Tommy. He does the standard, "Hi, I'm Tommy."
So yeah, he's like a Teddy Ruxpin kind of thing. Yeah. They react to you. So you say hello, and they look at you and go, eye blink, and go, "Hi, my name's Tommy. Want to play?" And that's all they really ever done.
Yeah, I think there's like a couple of other sayings or something. I don't know if I can remember.
Take off your clothes.
So
there's not a camera in my eyes.
I think the dad takes the doll at some point, doesn't he?
Yeah, so I don't know if he does it yet. No, they just take... Yeah, the dad just takes the doll out and he just puts it downstairs.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So then we cut back to Play Pal Toys. It's now pouring with rain. The lawyers come out. He's like...
He's got the doll.
He's got Chucky. He's got all his paperwork and shit because clearly after what's happened today, he's got even more paperwork to fill out.
Oh no, there's so much paperwork I have to file.
It's a lot of paperwork to file when you're covering up a bunch of like accidental deaths,
murders and deaths, and
So he tries to dump Chucky in the boot of his car, and clearly he doesn't fit in the boot of the car because that's convenient for us.
Yeah, he's slamming the boot down Chucky's face, and it's kind of funny because he's alive and he's just making out to be a doll. Which I never understand when he decides to not be a doll. What's the best time?
Yeah, it's like now, no. I'm having my face repetitively beaten in. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to bide my time. So he ends up having to chuck him in the back seat. Yeah. He chucks him in the back seat and he starts driving up. Then he makes a call on his car phone because this is 1990.
My word. Yeah, this is a 90s car phone. It's so good.
Oh my God. Did you ever have a car with a car phone?
No.
No?
No. Did you?
I don't think so. I vaguely remember there being a car phone in a car that I was in once, but I don't think
that's just when you got arrested. That was a police car.
That one time in 1990 when I was 5.
But he starts car phoning a lady. Yeah. Just like, yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, I remembered the vodka.
Of course I did.
And he stops at a boozer.
Because she's clearly turned on by vodka.
Oh, who isn't?
Well, potatoes.
Who isn't? So, potatoes, yeah, man. So yeah, he stops at like an old school boozer, gets out, and that's really it. And then we're just kind of cut back to the orphanage, don't we?
Well, Chucky's eyes, you get this shot of Chucky in the back seat, and this is the first time that we see him move, and his eyes straight away just go straight to the car phone. So
they look down. Oh.
Like, oh.
So at this point, I was like, he's going to strangle him with the car phone. But
that was something that could have happened.
Yeah, it is a very Chucky thing. But then we're cut to, like, back to the orphanage, and there's a phone call. Mm-hmm. And the orphanage lady...
Grace Poole.
Yep, answers the phone. He's like, hi, this is Andy there? And he's like, no. And he's like, this is his Uncle Charles. and then that's kind of it. It just cuts that scene. So you're like, okay, so he's just trying to find out where.
Like, I'm just looking for Andy. I like his voice. I love.
Yeah, he's like just looking for Andy. Like he's got Chucky's voice is amazing.
I know.
It's so un-doll like, and that's what makes it hilarious. It's just he actually like you get a vision of what he looks like as a man. Like it's really cool, and he just swears really well. Like.
I love his swearing. He's very funny as well, which I like. He's got good delivery. So we cut back, and the lawyer's in there. He's like trying to buy his vodka, and he's like, "We don't accept credit cards.
And like, who the fuck doesn't accept credit cards? It's only cash only." This is the 90s, though.
Well, yeah, this is the 90s. So you still had where you had to put the credit card down and then swipe over it with so it's like a paper thing.
Yeah, and it makes like a carbon copy of it. You take one, they take one, and then they bank it. Yeah,
which is
and
clearly
that's your receipt.
Why they don't do it.
I don't even understand why they even made that in the first place. It's such a weird way to do it.
Yeah,
people who are young will have no idea what we're talking about. This is early 90s stuff. This is 1990, wasn't it? So this is like an 80s thing where you couldn't pay for credit cards by just with an EFTPOS machine. No. They weren't invented, so they had to make a carbon copy of your card and then send that to the bank with how much it was. And a month later, it got taken out of your bank.
It's like, oh, shit.
Imagine how many of them they got a day.
Imagine having a drunk night out with that credit card in the 90s.
Because no places hardly accepted credit cards.
No, because you can imagine every fucking person trying to buy their, like, shot of vodka, swish, 10 drinks.
Dude, I remember like the days when you could, FPOS at McDonald's, and to me that was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And now you can FPOS for like anything. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, suddenly the guy, they're in the boozer, and the guy's car alarm starts going off out the front of the show. And he's like, what? Fuck. So he bails out without his drink. Mm-hmm. He can't get his drink. He gets in his car and drives off.
Yeah.
He's like, what's going on? Alarm went off. No reason. That's fine.
Yep. Chucky immediately sort of jumps up, holds a gun to his head, and he's like, no questions, just drive.
Yeah. Does he can't see Chucky, can he? He doesn't know who it is. He just thinks it's
yeah, I don't think he can see him.
He just thinks it's a robber in the back of his car.
But he's also really not that... Scared by it. He's just like...
He's an 80s business... He's a 90s, 80s businessman, mate. Who gets business his way out of it.
His biggest issue for the day is going to be bonitis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He'll cut that guy a check. He'll be fine. Anyhow, Chucky makes him pull up into a park, like an abandoned car park.
Yeah. He's just like, park this piece of shit.
Yeah. And it's always so aggressive. Park this piece of shit here. And I'm like, this is not the worst guy.
He's like, he ties his hands behind the chair with a jump rope, and he's just like, bang, you're dead. And starts squirting him with a squirt gun.
Yeah.
So he's just like, oh, okay.
It was just like one of
the... So we're just having a laugh.
And all of a sudden...
Start strangling him.
Yeah, a plastic bag.
Bam.
With a plastic bag over the face. This is Chucky, a tiny doll, strangling a full-grown man. There's a lot of that in this. Like, he's just a tiny doll. Throw him off. I
have a lot of feelings about this doll situation, but we will get to that at some point.
Chucky kills this guy for no reason.
No, so he's got the information he needs.
He should have just gone, okay, you know where Andy is. Drive me there with the gun.
Yeah. Which... Because,
then all of a sudden he's outside of Andy's house. What did he do? Take a bus?
How did he get there?
Took a bus. Got an Uber.
Ubers didn't exist back then.
So he got an Uber to Andy's house. And now we're outside of Andy's house. We get a bit of a point POV shot from Chucky running up to the house, across the road, like camera low, implying that he's a little doll. And then we kind of see Chucky's hand come out in the shot and grab the front door. And that looked good.
Yeah,
I think all the puppetry and the animatronics in this movie are great because he is a doll.
Yeah,
it looks great. Yeah. Because like he doesn't have to look realistic. He just has to look like a doll that can move.
Yes.
And so that's all. There must have been a whole heap of dolls in this film, eh?
I would say so.
They're like, a walking one, like just a head one. That
because even all of the expressions and the face changes, it's so realistic. Like, even
and
to the 90s.
When he changes back to being kind of a doll, it looks good. Because it's like they just let go of the controls and it goes like back to normal. And I'm like, that's cool.
So good.
Anyway, Chucky's opened the front door. Then we cut to Mama Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
She's up reading Andy a bed. It's also stormy and shit. Is it stormy?
It's a little stormy,
yeah. The thunder and lightning's coming in.
She's reading him...
Pumpkinhead's on the way with his big weather.
Big weather. She's reading him Hansel and Gretel. What? Starting to get a bit iffy. So she's like, we'll finish this up in the morning because it's a bit too, the grim fairy tales.
He didn't do a rendition like in Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Clearly not as good an actor. So Andy's there and he's just like, he's a little bit upset. It's obviously the first night in the house. He misses his mum. He's like, am I going to see my mum anytime soon? She's like, oh, you'll see her again. No, she's
dead.
She's locked up in the loony bin and you're ours until you're 18 and then you're out on your ass.
And then we cut to Chucky downstairs looking up. So there's a shot of him from we're upstairs and it's kind of like we're looking down the stairs and we can see Chucky, full body shot of him standing at the bottom of the stairs. Lightning and thunder behind him, like lighting the room up, flashing. It's a great shot.
I really like that because it was this really good
very horror
long pan down. And that, I mean, even though he's a doll, it's still pretty sort of like unsettling.
Yeah.
Even though
but then we get this shot of Chucky, he's like downstairs and he comes across the other good guy doll and they're face to face. And he's like,
Yeah.
He says a line or something. He's like, I can't remember what he says. Like,
I can't remember it.
Fuck you, idiot. Or something like that. And Chucky then puts the doll on the ground and beats it. He grabs the heirloom rare porcelain statue and starts beating the other doll's face in with it. Yeah.
He really does smash into it as well. So then we get this cut straight out to in the backyard. He's out. He's digging a hole. He's buried.
He's also he smashes the face of the doll. Yeah. So it's all smashed in. But he also smashes on the last hit the porcelain statue.
Yeah, it's broken.
Which we're like, oh my god,
something.
How is this going to get explained? Yeah, and then we cut to Chucky like burying the other good guy doll out the back in a grave.
Yeah, he's buried it
under like a swing.
Yeah.
So in the dirt bit of the swing, you drag your feet. He's buried this bloody doll in a shallow grave.
Yep. We get the iconic Chucky laugh. I fucking love his laugh as well. And then he just turns around and he's like, "Eat dirt, Tommy."
Tommy, yeah, he hates Tommy. And we get some shots of Tommy getting he goes to all this trouble.
Yeah. No, I really like that.
I think it's part of it maybe his ritualistic killing thing, like to bury people and hide them and shit like that. Like even if it is just a doll. Cut to next morning.
Yep.
It's not raining anymore.
They're all at the breakfast table and Papa Simpson comes in and puts down the broken figure on the table.
The broken porcelain doll. And he's like, who the fuck did this out of you two cunts? No. Yeah, because Kyle and Andy are both sitting at the table and Kyle was like, I didn't do it. I'm too fucking poetry for that shit.
Too deep to break things.
I'm too deep.
I'm too broken to break things.
I'm too in the ether. And then Andy's like, I didn't do it.
Yeah, so you get that stock standard, I didn't do it, well, I didn't do it, or nobody did it. Okay.
Then that's it, and it goes around. And then, of course, Kyle thinks Andy did it.
Yeah.
Because she didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then they both get grounded. He's like, that's it, you're grounded. You're grounded. I want to see more of you in this house.
Yeah.
Around more of my porcelain things.
24/7.
And then we cut to Andy and Kyle in the basement doing the laundry. She's kind of a little bit niffed at him that he didn't, he didn't confess to breaking it.
Yeah, they talk about, she sort of talks about Mr. Simpson, Papa Simpson. Andy's like, he seems kind of grumpy and grouchy. And she's like, well, that's just him, but this isn't as bad as some of the other foster homes. So then we get this whole, because foster homes and the whole foster system's pretty fucked up. And I
reckon you could get good ones. There's foster kids that have grown up really well.
Yeah, of course. But in any movie, they never portray it as something that's positive.
No,
or
not
anyone
in film.
that ever comes out of it is a positive, person.
Yeah, but that's films.
Yes, well, films have created this stigma around it. So, not saying that they're all bad and the system's fucked up. Some of it is. But.
She's smoking. She smokes in every scene. Yeah, inside, outside, she's wherever. Really cool. And then she's like, "Here, Andy, hold my cigarette while I go and dry these clothes." And Andy grabs a cigarette and he has a little puff and he's like,
he's a badass.
I got the black lung. And then she's like, "Don't smoke them, they're bad for you." And he's like, "Why do you do it?" "Because adults do idiot shit."
Yeah, adults are allowed to do things that are bad for them.
Yeah. Which doesn't... I don't know why that whole scene happens. It's fine.
No, that's fine. So Andy heads upstairs and we get
character building.
Yeah, that's right. She's a badass and she's a strong, independent woman.
But then he kind of helps her put the laundry out and they seem to be getting along quite well. And she's kind of like taking him on as a little brother. They're wearing this together. We're Fosters. Mm-hmm. We're the Fosterinos.
Mm-hmm. They're going to start a band. We cut to upstairs. Papa Simpson and Mama Simpson, they're talking about Andy and the trauma. And he's like, "I didn't think it would be this bad. Like, what were you expecting?"
What did you think? Like, it was going to be... A kid
that has witnessed a lot of murders. Yeah, sure.
It's only give him a chance. It's been one night.
Yeah.
One night.
There's going to be some, teething problems.
Adjustment.
Yeah.
Issues.
Of course, Andy's come upstairs. He's opened the door and he overhears everything, which is, quite upsetting to him.
Dad ragging the shit on him. Like, going...
But
his his family got murdered. What a fuckhead. that 8-year-old.
And he kind of, I think he's just so matured that he understands what this means.
He also,
if they don't want him, he's going to have to go back.
Yeah, and I also think he's starting to believe that it was all a dream.
Yeah.
Because the adults keep telling him that. So he goes he walks in.
Yep.
He goes, "Hi guys," showing that he's there. Walks into the family room and picks up the good guy doll, which is now Chucky.
Yes.
Because the other one has been swapped over. But first, when he looks at it, he says to him, "I hate you."
Yeah.
But he's kind of I think he's getting it out of his system.
Yeah.
But then he grabs the good guy doll, and kind of walks out to play with it, showing them to see, "Look, I'm getting over it. You don't have to get rid of me."
He also checks the batteries.
Yeah, to see if they're in there.
He turns over and he checks the batteries. The batteries are in there. It's all fine. So this doll's not just been talking.
I think that was one of the things that happened in the first film. He checks the batteries and there's no batteries in it and it's still going.
Yeah, the mum did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then he sort of walks back past the Simpsons and he walks back down into the basement.
Yeah. Actually, there was the bit where he first goes up to Chucky when he's sitting there and he goes, "I hate you." And like the Chucky doll looks at him and goes, "Hi, my name's..." And then he stops for a second, looks up to the side and goes, "Tommy." When he was about to say Chucky. Yeah. And I thought that was really good. And because he's still in doll mode. So it's just like, and even the eyes just looking up to when you're a thinking mode. I was like, that's sick. I loved it that he's had to think about it.
The moments, it's the little things that really just ice that cake.
Like this film isn't primarily a horror film until the end. It's all just like an interest. It's more a science fiction film, or fantasy film, because it's just like, how is this doll how would a doll assimilate into society?
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Lots of murders.
Murder.
So, of course, we're back outside. Andy's sitting there. Obviously, Chucky's sitting there. Kyle's on the swing. She's having a bit of a swing. And Andy's on the swing. Andy's on the swing.
So Andy's swinging, and we see Chucky he's been set down out the back, just sitting there. He's not really playing with him. He just brought him out to kind of like...
He's there. So they have a conversation, like Andy's asking about Kyle's parents,
Kyle's out trimming the roses. I'm like, that's not very punk of you.
Yeah, well.
As the film goes on, she turns more into a motherly figure, do you notice?
She does, yeah.
She starts off as ridiculously dressed Heartbreak High, punk poet.
Yep.
And then by the end, she's just dressed in normal clothes and has a different haircut and everything.
Well, she does look very similar to his mum.
Yeah, so she basically becomes the mother figure.
Yeah, pretty much.
As in, your calling in life, Kyle, now is to look after Andy. You were floating around till now, and he's becoming a special person, or some shit.
So they have a conversation. Kyle's dad left, and Kyle's mum was a drug addict, and so she got put into foster home. It's the same old story. But of course, while Andy's swinging on the swing, his feet are dragging along the dirt, which means Chucky's kind of. Seeing it happening, and
he's like, "Fuck! Why don't I bury it under the swing?"
why would I bury it in a place where it's probably going to be uncovered very soon?
Yeah, but he's like, I live for the game. Anyhow, cut to nighttime.
Yep.
Andy's room. Andy's in it. Suddenly Andy wakes up and all of a sudden he wakes up and goes, and he's tied to the bed by skipping ropes, like, as in like arms and legs, and he's got a sock in his mouth.
Yeah.
And Chucky's above him and he's like, hey, fuckhead.
He's like, now it's time to play.
Yeah, we got a new game. It's called Hide the Soul, and you are it.
That's such a good line.
Yeah, so Chucky starts doing his soul swapping ritual.
Yeah.
Which also brings big weather.
Yes, it does. A little big weather.
But then it's suddenly, which is like it's something
Dumbella.
Yeah, so which I knew as a kid.
Yes,
like
I know.
Give me the power, I beg of you. So he starts doing trying to swap the soul into Andy's body because he has to do it quick. Mm-hmm. And but suddenly, knock, knock, knock. There's a knock on the window, and Chucky's like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
He turns back into a doll, just goes into doll mode.
Yeah.
And then
it's Kyle.
Kyle comes in the window?
Yeah,
second story.
She's sneaking into the house. Not back into her room. She's sneaking back in through Andy's room.
No, I thought has she been out? I thought she just come from her room into that room just to talk to him.
No, she's been out. She's been out doing things, being a young person.
Well, maybe Andy's room is the only one she can gain access to, and before he was there, that's how she just got in.
Quite possibly, yes.
Yep, I'm doing that. Yep. Write that down.
So
anyhow, she comes in, she's like, what the fuck? Why did you tie yourself up?
What are you doing?
And he's like, socks in his mouth, she pulls out, it's Chucky. She's like, Chucky, whatever. She undoes him, and he just full pelt slogs Chucky in the face as in doll mode, punches him off the bed. I thought that was wicked.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the Simpsons burst in.
Yes, what the hell is this?
What's going on? And the dad's like to Carl, why have you tied up Andy? And she's like, I didn't tie him up.
Yeah, but also, so it's convenient that she's there going, how the fuck did you tie yourself up like this? Because his hands and feet are tied up.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And shove something in your mouth. And then, of course, Mr. Simpson, he's blaming Kyle because she's in there and just what the fuck are you do? You crazy kids and your satanic rituals. So he takes the Chucky doll. And Dad Simpson's like, this fucking doll. I'm fucking sick of it. You can't. He's basically so angry. He doesn't say that. He's very angry. He throws him into the basement.
He takes it downstairs, and Andy's following him and going, no, what are you going to do? And he goes, look, it's just a bloody doll. Yeah, throw you in the basement, doll, just to prove what?
It proves nothing.
So we see this rad shot of Chucky laying at the bottom of the basement stairs, lightning going, and making the window shadow around him and stuff. Anyhow. And then they shut the door, and then we get Chucky. He sits up, and he's got a fucking nosebleed from getting punched in the nose. And he's like, what the fuck? I'm bleeding.
It's like, shit. He's like, time is running out.
I'm turning into a human again.
Needs to get out of that body as soon as possible.
Cut to the next morning.
Yeah.
So it's obviously longer than 24 hours. I just said that before.
So I think this happens over a span of 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, so however long, it's more than 24 hours he has to get out of his body.
Yeah. I think they also say that even though it's not stated, it is set in the lead up to Christmas, which explains why that factory is full of dolls.
Oh, at the end, yeah. I never got that. I just thought they were really good at marketing. Cut to the next morning. Kyle and Andy are going out. Mm-hmm. They're going out. It's the morning, and then we work out that it's actually just Kyle walking him to the school bus.
Yep.
The new school bus. He's got a new school, and she's like, don't let the new school fuck you over. It'll be cool. Or whatever she says.
Don't let the man keep you down. But she also starts talking to him about
she's like,
what he was doing last night.
She's like, Andy, how did you manage to actually tie yourself up last night?
Yeah. So she's kind of questioning him, and she's not really believing what he's saying, and he's like, it was Chucky. And she's like,
it's always Chucky.
Yeah. It's like, nah, I don't think it is. You're lying. She's like, just like everyone else. And he just sort of gets on the bus and it drives off.
You don't believe me, just like everyone else.
Just like everyone else. Nobody believes me. Anyway, he gets on the bus drives off, and what do we see as the bus is driving off?
No, the best thing is that when Andy gets on the bus, he's walking down the bus, there's all these school kids, and then one kid out of nowhere just pushes him really aggressively, who is basically a parallel version from another world of Andy. He looks like exactly like him. He gets pushed by himself. So there's obviously a bully. He gets pushed by the bully, and then he sits at the very back of the bus. And then as the bus takes off. We see from under the bus his two little Chucky dangling legs like he's underneath the bus.
Yep.
So he's going to school. So he's like Chucky's in like full mode of like he doesn't care day or night when it is. Now he needs to get his body swapped.
He's got to get out. So it doesn't really matter. He will. I mean, who cares? He's going to be in a child's body soon. So yeah, whatevs.
Then we cut to the schoolyard. It's lunchtime. Andy's just playing with himself. Like he's got no friends yet because weirdo kid. And then we cut to an empty classroom with a teacher just kind of looking...
No, so it's Chucky's going through papers. So it's a completely empty classroom. He's going through all these, like, school papers. So it's obviously, like, the kids' assignments.
It's Andy's classroom.
Yeah, and he finds something and he's just like, yes, and he finds it. And we fade into the teacher, so Miss Kettlewell, and she is reading... She's now... full class, she's reading Pinocchio to the children, which of course is perfect because it's talking about lying. And
and a doll as well.
So it's
becoming a real boy.
That's exactly right. So it's perfect time because everything is with Andy is like, well, Chucky did it, I didn't do it. It was Chucky, which everyone just assumes he's lying. So
Andy gets like poked in the back by his clone kid again. Like, there's a bit of bullying going on straight away.
Bullying's not okay, guys. So she sort of like, I think class is dismissed, and as the kids are all walking out, she's going through the drawings and she finds Andy's drawing and it has a big old "fuck you, bitch" written across it in crayon.
Big red crayon.
Yeah.
Fuck you, bitch. No comma.
No.
There's no comma after you.
No, he's really getting to the point.
Yeah.
And we get the best stink eye I've ever seen come from her. She is a fantastic actress, and I always love her facial expressions. She's got that great stink eye. So of course she calls it over Andy, and she's just like, "What the hell? Like, this is not okay.
Why did you write this?"
Yeah.
But first, Andy goes to like a toy cupboard and opens it, and lo and behold, there's a good guy's doll in there, and he's like,
"Yeah,
he's not Chucky yet because it could be a good guy's doll."
Yeah, they're everywhere.
And she's just like, "Nah, you can't fucking play with toys. You just wrote 'fuck you, bitch.'"
Yeah, like you've done this horrible thing. So she grabs Andy and she's like scolding him, and then she
grabs the good guy doll.
She grabs the good guy doll, and he's basically like, "It wasn't me, it was Chucky."
And she's like, "Well, you're not going to play."
He's kind of put two and two together, and so she's just like, "Nah, sit down, head down on the table."
You got detention.
Do you remember when you got in trouble at school and you had to put your head on the table?
Yeah, nah.
I just assumed you'd always be in trouble at school.
Yeah, I was, but I can't remember it.
No, okay, fair enough.
We had to pick up bags of rubbish at our school.
I remember that. Like, oh, you've done a thing? Okay, go pick up a bag of rubbish. Sure.
Come bring it back to me. And then just go to the bin and pour the bin into it.
That's right. They're not that smart.
She goes over and locks Chucky in like the activity cupboard kind of thing. Uses the key, locks him in the cupboard, and then Andy's left in the classroom in detention, and she just bails.
Yep.
So she just leaves. I'm like, you can't.
She leaves the classroom and locks him in.
And I'm like, you can't. That's pretty unsafe.
What if he was like?
What if there was a fire?
What if he was epileptic?
Oh yeah. As my wife always says when I do stuff like that, what if there's an inferno? Like whenever I lock us in and stuff, like what if there's an inferno? So Andy, like, as soon as she leaves, he's like, fuck, Chucky's in that cupboard. He slowly walks up to the cupboard and he looks into the keyhole. And we get this great, like, shot of him looking, like, from his POV, looking in the keyhole. And then we just see Chucky's eye come into it. And he's like, hey, man.
He's like, peekaboo.
Chucky's lines are so good. He's like, It's like he's really wants to swap bodies, but he wants to do it in the funnest way possible for himself.
Well, you got to have fun. If you're not having fun, what's the point? So Andy climbs out the window.
He's like, oh, fuck, he just jumps out the window.
He just fucking bails. Meanwhile, Chucky's in there screaming profanities. He's just like, fuck you, like, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Let me the fuck
out of here.
It's like, I love Chucky just says fuck constantly.
Yes. I think that's what makes him so good is, like, the level of... I think that's what's given him sort of staying power over all these years is that personality.
He's swearing. Swearing's funny. And the fact is he is a child's thing that swears so much. Yeah. And it's that like juxtaposition of two polar opposite worlds mashing together to make comedy.
Yeah. So Miss Kettlewell comes back to the classroom.
And she's like, where the fuck's Andy? And she hears the closet. She goes, Andy, get out the fucking closet.
Yeah, what are you doing in there? She completely forgets that she's locked the closet door. But somehow Andy's in there and locked the door again. Anyway.
So this is 37 minutes into the movie now, and Chucky has only killed one person with a plastic bag. If you don't count the electric one, which I didn't count as him killing him. That was the electric guy at the start. There's only been 2 things. And it was the most ungory murder. A plastic bag over the face, and it was done.
Yeah. And it wasn't even done that well.
No body.
No. Could have been better. Could have been like, put the foot on the accelerator and he's driven into a tree, he's gone through the window.
But I do like the difference in this one to the first one. The first one was very, like, who's killing people? You didn't see Chucky, and it was a big reveal kind of thing. With this one, it's like, you fucking know who Chucky is.
Yeah.
Here he is. Let's just not let go of that whole Heidi, who is the killer. Let's just go with full throttle Chucky.
Yeah, we want to see this dog kill people.
And say sweet lines. I actually want to see him say sweet lines more, which is why I didn't mind the film, because I got a whole film of sweet lines.
Yeah.
And then in the end, I got all the gore, all the carnage I need, which we'll get into.
Yes, we will. So she unlocks the door and she goes in. She's looking around for Andy. Andy's
It's like a walk-in wardrobe kind of
crazy,
vibe. There's like toys and cupboards. There's clothes. There's all sorts of shit.
Yeah. So she's looking around. There's nothing to be seen. She obviously, you do that. Oh, there's a bunch of coats. Maybe it's behind the coats. You open the coats. Nothing's there, of course. Then, of course, Chucky bursts out of
from behind some raincoats or whatever and stabs her with a bike pump.
Yeah, it stabs her in the chest with a ball pump and then immediately pumps like air into her chest, which is kind of cool because if he's like punctured the heart or something, boom.
Yeah, but it didn't. She gets knocked out of the cupboard and it, in slow motion gets smashed into all the death, which looks great. Like,
it does look good.
That would have been a stuntman getting hurt.
She wouldn't have done it.
And this is where we get our full body shot, our first full body shot of Chucky walking out of the cupboard, like with the fucking, what has he got? A ruler.
He's got like a yardstick ruler and he's just like, he's slapping it on his hand.
He's playing the teacher.
He's like, you've been very naughty.
And like the reveal first, this is the first time a human's seen him.
Yeah.
And she's just like, what the fuck?
She's like, it must be all this oxygen that I've got pumped into me.
Yeah, and it looked great. It was, I'm like, that looks sick of him. And just how he speaks, when he's like revealed to a human, he's like, yeah, fuck you. He speaks really slowly. It's wicked. And he knows that he is unbelievable. He is ridiculous.
Yeah. He's okay with it.
And then we get this shot of him like, holding up the ruler and like, smashing down. And then it cuts further away out and you see the ruler coming up out the window. So a shot from outside of the classroom, you can just see the ruler getting, and then like further back. Once again though, cut away from the kill.
Yeah, I mean,
you never see anything after. You don't even know if she dies, do you?
No. Well, I don't. I mean, I'm under the assumption that everybody dies in this. We just don't see it because, that's the thing. A small doll beating someone to death with a yardstick is going to take a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to be tuckered out.
Maybe she just died from the oxygen hit.
Well, I would say that would be what kills her in the end. She'd just go into shock and she's got something's pierced into her body. Because if it's hit an artery and it's like put an air bubble in there or something, it's like
Maybe she died a couple of years later.
That's right.
Bubble to the brain.
Yep.
Anyhow, that's the end of that scene.
Yeah.
Cut to the Simpsons now at home. Mm-hmm. Andy's at home. He must have run home from school, and they're like, he said, Chucky fucking was at work at school. He tried to kill me. And they're like, Chucky again. What the hell? And then the dad goes over. Papa Simpson goes over to the basement, opens the door, and lo and behold, Chucky is still down there. And I'm like, wow, Chucky really second guessed what they were going to do.
His Uber driver was real quick getting him home.
He probably gave him a good start. I don't reckon Chucky would give a good start. I reckon he'd be a dickhead and give bad ratings no matter what. And just say all lines like, the driver was a wanker. Anyhow, Chucky's still there.
Yeah. So the Simpsons, they're now fighting about Andy in the next room. So we get this very long pan across the hall.
We've seen Andy's in his room, but he can kind of...
He's sat on his bed. He's got that like shamed sort of head bow look, and Kyle comes in, and she's kind of trying to console him a little bit and assure him that it's going to be okay.
She's going to give him some life advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, she gives him nice advice like, quote, "The only person you can rely on is yourself."
Yeah. You know, it makes you stronger. You realize you're the only one you can rely on.
But then Andy's like, he's disheveled now. He's broken. He's beaten. He's downtrodden. He's like, it doesn't matter where I go. Chucky will always find me. And then she kind of looks at him. She's like, oh, fuck, this kid's.
She's like, I'm deep, but he's deeper.
Yeah, I'm going to write some poetry about this kid.
She's like the ocean.
Oh, shit. The trench. You're a trench of, what is it? The Moriarty trench of emotions there, Andy. You write that down.
This will go well at the next poetry slam.
Anyway, cuts to Andy has decided, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to take matters into my own hands. I'm going to go down and fuck that doll up. So he goes into the kitchen and he gets himself an a cordless electric carving knife.
Yeah, because at first
we used to have one of these.
Yeah. Or who doesn't? Look at me, I'm Leatherface.
Look at me.
But because at first it's like this POV shot of drawers being open. So you're like,
you think it's
is
Chucky?
It Chucky? And no, it's Andy. And he grabs the electric carver and he heads down into the basement where now Chucky is no longer at the bottom of the stairs.
Where he should be. And it's dark and scary. And also, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not 100% sure, but the wooden Indian from Creepshow 2 is in that basement.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the wooden Native American?
Yes.
No, but it is an actual carving of what white people called a wooden Indian. So
yes. Yeah.
Anyhow, that's there, which is a nice little touch, I thought. And there's a whole scene of Andy kind of walking around.
Yeah, he's looking around.
Getting some jump scares.
This is great, though. Like, he's completely unfazed by a dark basement. Like, this kid has some balls. Like, any other kid going into that basement would have shit himself and have been crying in the corner by now.
I wouldn't have even gone down there.
No, me neither. I don't like the dark.
Number one, I would have turned on the lights.
Well, yeah. How about that?
Anyway, it's in darkness. We get, I think, some storm rolling in again. We get some lightning. I don't know what season they're in.
Little things are moving around. Like, you can hear, like, movement, and it's like he is starting to have that little, like, his bravery is starting to sort of falter, and he kind of realizes that he is in an empty basement.
He is not invincible.
You know. So he's starting to freak out a little bit, and so he heads...
he decides, maybe I'll leave.
Bit of a bang, and he heads over to the washing machine. And he's like, maybe he's in the washing... So he opens the washing machine, and he's like got the electric carver, and he's like...
Carving
in the laundry. Meanwhile, behind him, we get this like really nice silhouette of Chucky against a sheet that's hanging up. Yeah. Which does look really cool. And then all of a sudden, like, Chucky just drops on top of him.
Yeah, he must do this. Yeah, Chucky, I assume he's got Banff powers by now, because, like, he's just places where he can't be.
Yeah, he's great. He can do whatever.
And he jumps onto Andy's back yelling. He's like, yeah!
Yeah, this is great.
He's cutting things. I'm sure the parents would have heard that. No, because there's thunder and lightning. It covers up everything.
So there's thunder and lightning. This is a house that has really tall ceilings. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, they've got like 700 stories on their house.
So there's like a basement, there's the ground floor, and then there's like... it's like a fucking huge ceiling. Like, I don't know if you noticed how big the
yeah, it's big American. Yeah, it's one of those big American houses.
Huge, so no one's hearing shit.
But he does.
Yeah.
Suddenly we hear the dad is like, "What's that? That sounds like a doll jumping into the back of a small boy."
A small child. I must away.
And he decides to check it out.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah, because in this time, like, Andy and Chucky have been wrestling. Andy's dropped the knife. Chucky's bitten him. Andy did pick up the knife and just sort of like lopped some of his hair off as well.
Oh, did he?
He just cut a little bit of his hair off, and Chucky like ran off.
Chucky runs off, and then we cut to
Papa
the dad.
Simpson.
Papa Simpson's at the top of the stair, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing, Andy?" He's down there with his like electric carving knife, just standing there.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Dude, put the knife down.
Yes.
Put it down." And he slowly starts to walk down the basement stairs, and then Chucky grabs a boat hook.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's got a boat hook, as in the hooks that you grab a boat with and pull it into the shore with, and he hooks that behind Papa Simpson's leg from behind under the stairs, because it's like, you know, it's like a floating staircase.
Yeah.
and kind of hooks the dad's legs. This doesn't really make sense.
No.
He kind of hooks him. The dad falls, but the dad is left hanging.
Yeah, he doesn't fall forward down the stairs. He kind of falls sideways off the side of the stairs. So he is just...
And he breaks the balsa wood rail.
Hanging... Yeah, oh my God, yeah. So he's just left hanging there. Chucky comes out and he's like, how's it hanging, Phil?
Yeah, it's like so this is great. So this is another one of these great reveals, which you always want when you're a kid in the Chucky. Yeah. When Chucky reveals himself to adults and they're just like, what?
And he just has this like, oh, what?
Yeah, so he's like, yeah, how's it hanging, Phil?
And he just kind of lets him go.
Yeah, he uses the boat hook. Somehow he can unhook him, and then Phil falls down and his neck snaps at right angles. Yep. And we're like, uh-oh. Straight away, you know, Andy's going to get blamed for this.
Yeah.
Because, like, Chucky can just turn back into a doll at any time, and he can always blame Chucky.
So Joanne and Kyle come downstairs. Kyle, you know, they've seen this like horrific scene, and Kyle's just like, oh fuck, I'm gonna go call an ambulance. And
so Joanne, she runs out, calls the police and ambulance, and then the mum consults her husband. Yeah. And like Andy goes to come up, and she's like, get away from me! Yeah. No, he's fucked up. The nice mum doesn't like him now. He's really fucking this shit up. Yep.
Damn. So the ambos, they've loaded Pup Simpson into the back of the ambulance.
Police are outside. Andy's outside the house. The mum's, you know...
She's inside. She's packing Andy's things. He's gone.
Fuck this shit.
He's out of here. No more.
And then, Kyle kind of comes in.
She's consoling her.
Consoles her a bit, like, you know. But she doesn't say, don't get rid of Andy, does she?
At no point does she try to talk any sense or reason.
She takes the suitcase down for him.
Yeah. She's just like, I'm going to handle it.
The foster lady's rocked up again.
Yep.
She's a foster care home lady. She's rocked up. She's there to pick up Andy.
She's kind of nice about it too. Like she
understands.
Like,
she's like, well, it's just people get murdered.
Yeah. Look, guys, sometimes murderous dolls just kill everyone you love and you are left with the blame. Yeah, so it's fine. You'll come back.
70% of our kids have a murderous doll attached to them.
Exactly. We'll go home. We'll make you a hot chocolate. We'll try again next sequel.
Exactly. And Carl brings down Andy's suitcase down to him. And then Andy looks at Kyle and just goes, he's still in the cellar. Yeah. Don't let him get to you too.
Yeah, he gives the warning.
And Kyle's like, oh, fuck, this kid's really fucking...
This kid's cooked.
He's deep. I'm going to write this down in my dream journal.
Cut to now...
Kyle's like, you know what? I am going to get rid of that doll because fuck that shit.
So they're in the cellar talking. She's in the cellar with the cops. She's talking to the cops. And, like, Chucky's just propped up under the stairs. And they're basically, like, at no point do they point to or think about the doll or anything else. But also at no point is Andy being taken by police to be questioned
or what happened or
so they're pretty much just like, well, this seems like a pretty clear case of the guy just fell down and died.
Pretty clear case of balsa wood handle and killer doll.
That's what happens in these big old houses. Hang on, nothing to balsa.
The only thing we don't have is a boat hook. Oh no, there it is. There's one. Yeah, we know what happened here. Boat hook death.
It's like, well, just another household boat death. They leave, and she picks up Chucky, and she takes him outside and dumps him in the bin.
This is nighttime still. Dumps him in the bin. It's a full bin, so she puts him on top and slams the bin lid down onto it. She goes over to the swing, which has a massive part in this film.
It does.
Swing. It's like 3 scenes the swing gets in. She lights up an old cancer stick, a dart, a nail, a ciggy, a fag, a dart. And starts having a deep puff swing, as I call it.
Deep puff swing.
Deep puff swing.
That's the name of her band.
Yeah. She starts thinking deep thoughts about what's she going to dress in tomorrow. What cool Trent Reznor inspired gear is she going to wear?
What shade of black tomorrow? Kennedy blacker?
Yeah. Is it going to be matte black, shiny black? Is it going to be Boy George black?
Oh, Boy George.
Boy George black.
Yep, Boy George black.
It's like normal black mottled with tear stains. Anyhow, she finds
she's been dragging her feet across the ground the whole time, which has conveniently excavated Tommy's shoe.
Tommy, good guy, and she's like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And it's a great scene. She like pulls the doll up from out of the ground. His whole face is smashed up. Yep. And she's just like, hang on. She looks back over to the bin where she had thought she had put this doll into. She walks over and dun, dun, dun. There ain't no doll in that bin.
Oh, God. He's gone.
Doll be gone. Where'd him go?
At some point, like, a sound above her startles her. And she's just like, Joanne. And I think she starts trying to call out from outside when we're still got.
Yeah, she's kind of like, she looks up and sees like the window is open of the the light is on of the mum's room. And she's like, yeah, Mama Simpson.
Yeah. So
there may or may not be a killer doll in there.
A small doll in there with you.
Yeah.
She runs inside and she starts going through like just a cupboard.
She gets a knife.
She pulls out a knife.
She's turned into a fucking doll hunter.
Like a knife. And we're not talking a kitchen knife. We're talking like a hunting knife.
Yeah, that's why she's a fucking doll hunter now. Yeah. She's like, you call that a knife? I'll fucking give you a doll hunting knife.
Anyhow, and she heads up the stairs.
She slowly walks up the stairs just in case. Who knows what she's thinking just in case.
We don't know. There's a ball of yarn sat at the middle of the stairs.
Oh, I didn't see that.
You didn't see that?
No.
Yeah, she spies a ball of yarn.
And she's like, the fucking cat's here again. The killer cat.
That cat.
That cat.
The cat from House.
Yeah.
So she climbs the stairs, and of course the yarn is leading from this ball up the stairs into Joanne's room.
I didn't know that. I just thought she just went to Joanne's room because it's the only person that's here now.
I apologise, guys. My phone's been going crazy.
That's all right. Is it anything important?
It's nothing important.
It's it's like new pop vinyls. It's your own reminder.
It's the stock standard. I'm doing something important, so every notification that I never get at any time just starts coming.
Like last week when my dad came in.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyhow. She goes into the Mama Simpson's room and she's at the sewing machine because I think it showed her she does sewing. It showed that before or something. Yeah. She's at the sewing machine, but she ain't moving.
No.
We can just hear the sewing machine going taka 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 taka.
Which I kind of like because as she was walking up the stairs, that's all you could hear was this like.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck is that? And it just sort of kept getting louder and louder, and you're like, this is like a ticking bomb.
Yeah.
To the reveal of like she finds and she turns Joanne in the chair.
Mama Simpson.
She's wrapped in yarn.
Is that what it was? Because I've written she's dead. I'm not sure how.
So
there was blood on her, but I couldn't quite see. I was really disappointed. I thought her face was going to be stitched up or something.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted, and
like even because it doesn't make sense. You can't do it, but I would have been fine with it.
Yeah.
Because somehow Chucky got her face through the sewing machine.
Yeah, it wouldn't have happened. But no, she is bound in the yarn. She's been gagged and her throat has been slit.
Was her throat being slit?
Yeah. That's what I assumed anyway. That's what I got.
And then all of a sudden, Chucky jumps on Kyle from behind. And we get this amazing scene of this little animatronic Chucky on the back of Kyle. And its little legs are kicking everywhere.
His legs are going like crazy.
It's like when in Gremlins 2 when they picked up that crazy Mogwai. And it's like... Yeah, like he's running like... And they're screaming. They're running around the room. They're knocking over things. She grabs the lamp.
Yep.
And she smashes... I think she smashed Chucky in the face.
Yeah, she just like fucking like full pelt smacks him in the face with the lamp and he drops and like rolls under the bed.
And then Kyle goes to grab the knife, which is on the ground. And we get this amazing shot because the knife is on the ground and we get a POV shot from Kyle trying to grab it. And we see this little Chucky hand from under the bed come out and grab the knife, like full animatronic little hand, grab the knife and pull it under the bed.
Yeah, that looked great.
Yeah, that's so good. This is what Chucky's all about, is like this stalky motherfucking doll.
Yeah. He's pretty wily. He's pretty fades into the background kind of thing.
Yeah.
So she goes to leave the room, but he trips her up.
Somehow.
Yeah. He's kind of now outside of the room. He's grabbed her leg. She's tripped over.
He's jumped on top of her.
Holds the knife up to her and he's like, we're off.
We're off. And we apologise if you can hear the rain. You may not be, but we're in a rainy day.
It's a nice day.
It's a horrible day.
I love it.
Anyhow, he trips her over. He gets on top of her. He throws some dialogue at her. If I don't get out of this body soon, I'll be stuck in here. Why doesn't this go into her? No, because it has to be Andy.
It has to be Andy.
Oh, because it's the first person he tells his name to.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the first person, so which is why he's... Because this could have been solved. He could have just been like, oh, I didn't get the kid. Oh, here's this dickhead. I'll just put myself in this dickhead.
Yeah, but that happens in the third film. Because in the third film, he goes, wait up, I got a new body. That means I can get a new, a new person to go into.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
So they're now in the car and he's like, drive. So they're on the way and he's telling her to hurry up. He's like, you got to go faster. Like, I'm going to get stuck. We need to get to this kid.
Yeah,
and then, of course,
we've cut to a car. She's driving and he's got her hostage.
Yeah. Cop starts trailing behind and sirens start wailing and he's just like,
pull over.
So they pull over and the cop walks up to the car.
Chucky reverts back to doll mode. He's like, don't do anything funny. And he just sits there next to her.
Yeah. And he's kind of like, he's like, oh, do you know how fast you're going? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, is that one of those good guy dolls?
And she's all like, her acting's funny here. This is like, it starts to be comedy now. Like, she is just like, I can't believe I am being held hostage by a doll.
Yeah.
So she's looking at the cop. She goes, yes, it is one of those Chucky dolls.
Yeah. And as she's like, oh, yeah, it is, his nose starts bleeding. His nose starts to bleed.
No, first he goes, hey there, little guy. And he looks at her and he goes, what's your name, little guy? And he just looks at her and totally out of character, Chucky just looks at the cop and he goes, Chucky.
Yeah.
And then, he's suddenly blood pisses out of his nose.
Yeah, and he's like, is he meant to do that? She's like, you seen those dolls that pee? This one bleeds.
Yeah. Well,
and at this point, the cop's just kind of like,
I don't understand women.
Yeah. Okay, a woman is telling me about blood. I'm leaving now.
He just starts vomiting on the ground and he leaves. Anyway, he lets her off. Then we cut to the orphanage. Is Andy back at the orphanage now? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Andy's back at the orphanage now. He all the kids are going to bed. He goes to bed, or does he?
Oh.
Anyhow, as soon as everyone's out the room and the lights are off, he gets out of the bed. He's fully clothed. He's going to make an escape. Mm-hmm. This is fucking, this is the great escape all over again. He gets a motorbike and he jumps over the orphanage.
It's like one of those little kids motorbikes as well. So ding, 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 ding.
No, he doesn't do that. Anyhow, that's it. We're just seeing that Kyle is making an escape from the orphanage. Then we cut back to Chucky and Kyle and they're in the car still.
Yeah. So they're driving and she's just like, he's just yelling at her. He's
just
being
going,
a real driver.
Bitch.
So she immediately slams on the brakes.
He's starting to panic because it's getting to the point now where he's just starting to bleed and shit. So he's turning more and more human and getting more and more organs.
Yes. He's in trouble. So she immediately slams on the brakes, throwing him through the windscreen.
Yeah, he smashes through, which was great. It's always funny when Chucky gets hurt because he's like, fuck!
Yeah, he's just like, oh, God. But it's also really funny because I would like to know how fast she was going and how hard she slammed the brakes for him to be able to penetrate said windshield.
Well, he's getting heavier now, so he's more he'll be more voluminous.
Ooh.
So let's just say 1,000 k's an hour.
Sure.
Anyway, he flies out over the windscreen, over the bonnet, and then he jumps up onto the front of the car.
Yeah.
With his knife, and he's like, ah!
Oh, yeah.
He's going he's gone psycho on them. And then she speeds up, and of course she speeds, and she tries to drive him into a wall, which actually hits a bollard, which actually makes him fly forward into a fence, which is pretty funny because we see Chucky get slammed into a fence, and then she just
she gets out of the car, and he's gone, and she's like, oh, okay, and of course we're getting this really interesting POV shot from under the car, which is where we assume he's gonna be because he's little and he's gonna be under the car, but of course we pan up, and she's. He just stands behind her, holds the knife up to her throat, and he's just like, playtime's over.
How the fuck did he get that high up onto her? Doesn't matter. Why'd she even get out of the car? It's just like, it's like they had this cool idea, and then they're like, oh fuck, we gotta get him back in the car.
Yeah.
All right, let's just have them get back in the car.
Yeah, it's fine.
So yeah, he basically just gets her straight away.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to the foster home, and someone has set the fire alarm off.
Oh.
Who knows who? All the kids, they start panicking. They run down the stairs. They're like, oh, we're fucking kids. The fire alarm's going off. Anyhow, we see Andy and the foster lady there together. And she's like, quick, Andy, we got to get out of here. And we see at the bottom of the stairs, all the kids running out, is Kyle standing there. And she's holding the Chucky doll. Mm-hmm. And she, exchanges a look with Andy as in, yeah, we're fucked.
Yeah.
And we see from the back that Chucky has the knife in Kyle's back, But also the foster lady, she knows Kyle. Earlier on, she's like, we've, put Kyle into...
Yeah.
And she's like, Kyle, did you do this? Did you set this fire alarm off?
Yeah.
And she goes, no, it was Chucky.
She's just like, right, I've had it with the two of you in my office right now. And she basically drags them both into her office. She picks up Chucky and she's just like this fucking doll. And he immediately just stabs her in the chest.
He reveals. Does he say a line?
I think he does. I didn't write it down.
He says a Chucky line. Yeah, so he's like, it was said like, time's running out. He doesn't have time to be coy and play the cool games anymore. He's like, fuck you.
Yeah, it's like stabs her in the chest. She falls onto the copier. And as she's like
the photocopier,
sliding off the copier, it's like making multiple copies of her face.
It doesn't actually make sense because she's on the ground. It's still making copies splitting that, but each face is different. Yeah. And I'm like, that's not how photocopiers work.
It's like photocopiers don't work that fast.
Or that way. Anyhow, Kyle runs out of the room.
Yes, he locks her out of the room, and then him and Andy, they head out of the window. They're down the alleyway.
Yeah, like Kyle runs out the room, but Chucky stops. He gets in the way and locks him and Andy in the room together. Yeah, that's what you meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we got Kyle outside, Chucky and Andy locked in the room, but then the fire brigade rocks up, and to the foster home. And Kyle is trying to get into the room to save Andy.
Yeah, so this is this weird scene of like for some reason they had to get separated because it gives them a head start. So Andy and Chucky are now they're in the alleyway. They've seen a newspaper truck, because
it's very early in the morning now.
Yeah, the back of it's open, revealing all the newspapers. So they get out, they climb onto the back of the truck. It's
a van. Yeah. It's a van with an open bit, which is really weird.
Because usually there's someone in the back of it throwing the newspapers out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Or whatever.
At this point, Kyle gets into the room and she immediately sees that there's no one in there.
She sees him getting into the truck.
She climbs out, sees him in the truck. She's like, fuck, I've got to go back to my car. So we play a little game of the car won't start. And, of course, after a couple of seconds, the car starts.
Nice.
And she drives off and she catches up.
So also, the back of this truck is still open, driving so fast. Why would they not shut the back? Like, because the truck driver doesn't know what anything's going on. I'm like,
no.
All your newspapers would just fly out.
Well, that's the thing, because it's one of those, they wouldn't be doing, suburban deliveries. They're delivering stacks of paper to businesses.
Yeah.
So, like, newsstands and stuff. So there should be someone on the back of that truck.
Or shut.
Throwing. Or shut.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Anyway. She catches up. She's like, boo, 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 boo. She's beeping at the truck. She's flashing the lights.
Meanwhile, at this point...
Chucky's
trying to do his little ritual again.
He's doing it at any moment he can. He's also knocked out. Didn't he knock out?
I think Andy's like unconscious.
Yeah.
Andy just sort of lets it happen.
Yeah.
He's just laying there.
Yeah. I think he gets knocked out. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And then we get this great scene of like her beeping and flashing like Chucky, and then he just looks at her and just gives her the finger.
Flips her off.
Flips the bird.
I love it.
Yeah, and back in those days, giving the finger was funny.
That's pretty bad.
That's funny. That's so funny.
It is. It's still funny to this day. She sort of drives off and she cuts off the truck.
And then like, what the fuck?
Basically, so he stops. And so she runs out and she finds them. They're no longer in the truck. Truck driver's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, why are you stopping me? People need the news.
It's the only way people can get their news.
Yeah, if I don't deliver the news, I am useless.
That's right.
This news needs people. People need news.
Meanwhile,
make paper to them. Morning, happy face, breakfast, read news.
How are you going to line the bottom of your bird cages?
Exactly. How are you going to clean up your cat shit?
Just don't know. So she finds...
Yeah, she
sees them running off into the distance, and she's
just so happens they've stopped out the front of
convenience.
The good guy's factory.
Yep. So she basically just is like, I'm not listening to your newspaper talk anymore, and she runs off after them. So they've run into the factory. The doors are open because obviously a lot of deliveries have started to go out, and at this point the door is starting to close. So
Indiana Jones is under it.
I'm like, Indiana Jones is under the door like a motherfucker. Doesn't lose her little beret though.
No, we cut to a warehouse completely full of Good Guys doll boxes. It's great. It's a great scene.
Massive.
It's a heaps good set. I wish the whole end of the film was set in this bit. It was such a cool vibe.
It's a whole maze. So this is literally a maze of Good Guy doll boxes. And
but
Andy
you can tell that they only had a
Chucky.
certain amount and they just kept like filming them from different directions and shit. It was great.
That's fine.
Anyway, Chucky just Chucky just knocks Andy out.
Yeah.
He goes, sorry, Andy. Bonk. You're dead. And then he starts the soul swapping ritual. They're on the ground in the factory amongst all the Good Guys dolls.
Yep.
Big weather rolls in over the factory.
Of course it does.
He starts doing, the thing. Saying his lines, give me the power, bigger. He's doing it. Bits of wind are flying up, flashing lightning. And he does it. He finishes the ritual. Fuck. He swapped his body. Or has he?
He hasn't. It's too late. He starts bleeding.
Yeah, because we have Andy wake up and you think he's Chucky. And then, he cuts to Chucky's face and his nose is still bleeding. He goes, it didn't work. It was too late. And he just fucking goes nuts.
Oh.
And this is where the movie just starts. Yes. This is so good.
Oh, my God.
And he actually says, I spent too much time in his body and I'm fucking trapped in here. Wicked.
So he's basically, he's essentially got nothing to lose now. He's stuck in his body.
Red.
Like, Andy's no longer of use to him, so why would he fuck this? And
Andy's fucked him around so much. He's trapped him in this doll's body forever. At least he's got a life.
That's true.
And then he's like, he just goes, fuck you, I'm going to kill you. And suddenly a massive pile of Good Guy boxes rain down upon him from the heavens. And we can see up on the shelves, it's Kyle.
Yep.
She's pushed boxes onto him.
Foreman's going to be pissed.
Andy's like, just regained consciousness is fine from being completely knocked out.
He's not woozy at all.
They run off. And we get this rad shot of Chucky bursting out of the boxes. So angry. They've just got this doll and they're shaking, going, ah!
He's mad.
His hair's gone all like frizzy. He got his crimper out. He teased his hair.
He's seeing red.
He's seeing red.
So the two, Andy and Kyle, meet up in amongst the maze of Good Guy dolls and they start running. They're trying to find an exit, any kind of exit.
They're just running. The same pathway they're going down over and over again.
They come across a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
Of course, this is a conveyor belt in the factory that is putting the eyes in the doll.
Is that one? No, isn't that. First they get to a conveyor belt. They get out of the maze and they get to a conveyor belt which leads them into another factory, which is the production line. And they climb up. They climb up that rolly bit. Do you remember? And then
yes. No, you're right.
Yeah. So first they find this like rolling conveyor belt which is going uphill.
Yeah.
Where the dolls you would assume would come down out of the production line.
Yes.
So we're in the warehouse now and we're moving into another factory part.
Yeah.
So they climb up this rolly thing and of course the little Andy falls down and then Chucky's at the bottom.
Here's the thing though, like there is a murderous doll after a small child. Why wouldn't you make him go first?
No, because I don't know. Maybe it was just.
So she climbs up first.
I don't know why you don't get a broom and just push Chucky away from you. He's just a little doll.
I know. I'll get to that. That's why, like, come on.
So, but then we get this like suspenseful scene because they're rolling conveyor belt kind of thing. So it's hard to go because you slip back down like a slippery dip. So he's like trying to climb up. Chucky's behind him with the knife. Chucky's got the knife, by the way.
He's fucking.
Anyhow, Andy gets to the top and Kyle helps him out. Mm-hmm. Chucky gets to the top and then Kyle slams down an iron gate onto Chucky's hand, crushing his hand, like breaking his hand.
Yeah.
It's kind of like big, heavy steel. Chucky's like,
yeah, he kind of drops the knife as well and he's just like, he's in so much pain. It's just like, oh my God, fucking. And then he just proceeds to.
Because he's so used to having a doll body.
Yeah.
But now he's all human.
So he can feel pain. He's experiencing pain. All this shit is happening to him. And he just starts ripping his hand. He's pulling it out. Because it's all broken and crushed. He's pulling it out.
And then, of course, the skin's stretching and breaking. Oh. There's all these little tendons. There's heaps of tendons in Chucky.
Yeah.
It's splurting out with blood. So this doll has this organs and gore inside of him now. And it's fucking the best. This is where the film really shines. Anyhow,
it looks so good. And
we see him rip it off and he screams in agony. This doll gets run through the ringer from now on.
Yes.
And then we see we see Kyle and Andy maneuvering their way through a factory that looks like it's been fucking designed by Willy Wonka.
Yes.
Every machine is like a colourful...
It's very pretty. So you've got all of the yellow boxes around, and then, of course, like some of the machines are bright red, bright yellow. Blue. You know,
and they're all like a gigantic machine that serves one function to make one part of a Chucky doll. Like one puts in the eye, one puts on the arm. One of them does like glues, like heat glues it all together or something. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of these, like, all the machines look menacing. They all could fuck you up.
Oh, yeah,
which is great.
It's a factory.
Which is, as a young person and even as a young kid watching this film, I was like, this is interesting. This is so much shit can go down. We see them back into like a vat of something, which I can only assume is hydrochloric plastic to create a doll, because a drop of it goes on the ground and burns into the ground.
Yeah, so I don't think it's like hydrochloric, but I feel that it is just like extraordinarily hot plastic.
Yeah, well, so there's a tub of molten plastic, which we're saying there's all these dangerous things.
Yeah, everything's dangerous.
And then we cut to a shot of Chucky. He is now without a hand. He has the knife in a vice. He has pulled the handle off the knife, so now it's just the blade.
Yeah.
And he actually stabs, he like builds up the courage, stabs his stump into the end of this knife, like, so and then like he's in mega pain, and then gaffer tapes it onto his, like, so now he has a knife hand.
Yeah.
And it's wicked.
I love this as well, because like
it's so horror.
Just the way that he just rams it straight, and because you can hear it too, it's like this cracking and
like he doesn't care if he dies now.
It's like, this is it.
There's no use living in his body.
Going out in a blaze of glory.
I got no dick.
No, well that's
doll can't fuck. No fuck doll.
As we have seen in the following sequels, he can.
Well, yeah. Is he human in the following sequels?
No, he's still a doll.
Yeah, but like, is he full gore? Maybe he grew a dick when he...
Quite possibly.
Yeah, doll dick. Why not?
He is anatomically correct.
He's no Ken doll.
Yeah. So they've come across the machine that is putting the eyes in. This is where they've hit that. They need to get through this machine to be able to get to the door on the other side.
I can't see why they didn't walk around it.
No, because I'm like, if you just...
Walk around.
Okay, sure.
People have to get past machines. Anyhow, they decide they have to go through the machine. They narrowly dodge some eyeballs coming down. In the process, they accidentally, fuck up the eyeballs. They all get stuck in the machine.
Yeah, it jams the machine and alerts a security guard or a worker of the...
security / maintenance man.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, fuck, okay.
The eyeball machine's banked up again.
He goes out and he comes out to check, and,
You know, this is a second eyeball machine. Like, there's all these machines they could have used, but they're using another eyeball machine.
Something about eyes.
Yeah.
And of course, so he starts to clear the jam in the machine by laying directly under it.
Because it's like he has to fix it. He's like, oh man, I have to use a screwdriver on something.
So at no point did he turn it off at the power or do anything so that when the jam is resolved... anyway.
He resolves it. He sits up and Chucky's there.
And Chucky, with his sweet as shit knife hand, slashes his throat.
Yep.
And then he falls back down, locks his head into the machine, and then the eyes are just, the machine's working again. Bam! Eyes straight into his. Yeah. This looks good.
Yeah, it's funny.
Comical.
Yeah.
So now he's got, it kind of looks like Christopher Lloyd from Who Framed Roger Rabbit when he had his his two knives.
So that guy dead.
He's dead.
He's dead. He's not really back into it again.
I mean, if he's not dead, he's going to get a good
come back somehow later on. that character. Cut back to Kyle and Andy. And basically they're still maneuvering their way through these machines.
Yeah, so we're now at this other machine that seems to glue things on.
Yeah, and Andy kind of backs onto the control panel of the machine for some reason because they're still kind of creeping around, and which makes the machine go backwards, and an alarm goes off. A good guy doll goes back into this machine, and it kind of fucks up. It kind of goes whoop, 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 and it basically it glues or heat glues a whole bunch of arms and limbs onto a doll again. When it comes out, it's this burnt mess with all these arms and legs coming out. And I'm like, oh, someone going in there.
Yes, like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. So Chucky comes out.
It's all melted and
he
gross.
appears out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and he comes out slashing away, and basically
he jumps at them and misses, and then
he gets trapped on the conveyor belt.
And then Kyle staple guns him to the conveyor belt.
Yeah, so it's
a really weird scene because he's yelling in pain, but I feel they're just doing it to his clothes.
Yeah, we get this I'm assuming it's going into his body or something. Yeah, but it's all the hair, so it's the machine that's pulling in the hair. So it's we're talking bam 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 hair. So he's oh my god, now I've got a merkin happening, and he's now stuck on this conveyor belt, and then
of course Andy hits the button to make the machine go backwards again, and Chucky panics at this point, He's like, fucking let me go!
Yeah, so he then goes up, we see him go into this machine, the doors close, and we just assume that he is now going to have a bunch of shit glued to him.
We know he's just going to melt it. And we hear this, it's a fucking torturous scene. We hear him screaming in agony for ages. We see robotic arms grabbing limbs and putting them into the machine, and then ding!
It's a lot. Ding, it's done.
It's done. And it starts moving forward, and we see this fucking bloody, plasticky, molten mess of arms and legs and bits of Chucky. And they're like, we've done it. We've melted him. And it's gross. Blood on plastic is gross,
It is. So you see his little legs there, and they're all
it's just a massive heap of arms and legs that have been heat melted into Chucky's flesh.
Yep. It's just a huge mess. So they're just oh, yeah, well, he's dead.
They're like, yeah,
let's get out of here.
We won. Let's, this is all happening in 10 minutes, all this shit,
Pretty much. So as they walk off, but then we see this, blood trail.
A draggy blood trail. What is it from?
Yeah, so it's leading up to, this huge wire. And then immediately Kyle is knocked out and knocked onto the conveyor belt. And we get a reveal of Chucky. He's now on a trolley.
Wasn't he got knocked out by the maintenance man swinging down from the roof?
Chucky has strung up the maintenance man.
A fully grown man with his dull weight. Mm-hmm. He has somehow, and then rigged it up that when someone walks through, he swings down and hits them onto a control panel. Fine.
Makes sense. Yes.
And Kyle is she's girl knocked out.
Yeah.
As in I'm so knocked out. I fainted. Something, my blood rushed and I fainted. And she's on the conveyor belt, slowly going up the thing that Chucky was going into. Is that right? But a lot slower than Chucky did.
Yeah. So Chucky's now, he's on a trolley.
He's cut in half.
He's basically ripped his legs off.
No, I think he got his top half ripped off in the machine and he bailed out the backside and we couldn't see it. He's just a mash of legs and blood and gore coming out of him, but he's got his fucking knife hand.
Yeah, so he's just trying to wheel himself along the ground. He's
like a leper.
He's got a lot going on. He kind of gets stuck.
No, he kind of he lunges for Andy, but he's so shit. Even Andy's kind of in control at this moment.
Yeah.
Andy just kind of sidesteps out the way of him. He kind of stabs into a bit of a machine. His knife gets stuck. His hand knife gets stuck into a machine. He looks up and he sees he's under the valve of molten plastic.
Yeah.
And then or acid plastic, or whatever the fuck it is. Andy just casually turns the valve on, and then we see Chucky. It gushes out, very exactly Who Framed Roger Rabbit as well, with the dip.
Yep.
Gushes out into his face. He's melting. He's screaming. I imagine dying from molten plastic.
That would be bad. Because so not only are you being dumped with this molten plastic that as it's cooling, it's hardening, but also because it's so hot,
it's you're bubbling and
you're
blistering.
Now melting and cooling at this. Oh my God, it's so good.
Whilst this is happening, Andy quickly runs up to Kyle and goes, "Hey, wake up!" She wakes up and gets off the machine just in time. And then they both walk over and look at Andy's handiwork of fucking Chucky, and he is this.
He's just this blob of melted plastic.
You can see the veins under it. It's expanded a bit.
Yeah.
His hands melted. There is this plastic which is setting, and there's you can see there's blood bursting out from the inside of it, coming down. I'm this is
sick.
This is wicked. And suddenly, Once again, Chucky jumps as this blob. His face is melted. He's just got one eye sticking. He looks like Toxic Crusader.
He does. And because, like, part of his lip as well. So part of his lip has dripped into his bottom lip and is sort of fusing his lip together. But, of course, because his mouth is open, it's like this string of plastic between his lips, which I thought looked amazing.
And then Kyle quickly... earlier on, we see Chucky...
He hits like a gas valve or something.
Yeah, an air hose.
Yeah.
She's like wrestling with this blob Chucky on her and shit. She like reaches out, grabs an air hose which has been cut and shoves it into Chucky's mouth. And then jumps back. And they just sit there and watch. And his head starts to expand. And you get this full like Big Trouble in Little China head expansion. And it's blowing up. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it explodes. And it's a great head explosion. This is like a... of plastic, gore, meat, all this shit explodes out.
Everything. It's perfect. It just looks so good.
And in this is all what we're just saying now. All this doll carnage is the last 10 minutes of the film.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's just like, let's go fucking ham. It's like this is his third comeback.
Yeah.
Of like, you know.
Well, I'm guessing it's cheaper to do it all to a doll than it is to have a bunch of different people being made up in like a makeup chair.
Yeah, they never did the small person dressed as Chucky for this film. It's all animatronics. And we see this shot of just like this melted torso, not headless. All it has is one little hand with a couple of fingers left on, and you still see the fingers moving a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're like, and suddenly, you know, the roller door opens. It's morning, and they walk out into a new morning and a new life without Chucky. And they have a little dialogue, and he's like, "Where are we going?"
Home.
And Kyle's like, "Home." He goes, "Where's home?" And he goes, she says, "I have no idea."
Yeah.
Cut to credits.
Done.
Final thoughts, Jen.
Okay. So I got like...
When was the last time you watched this? I always thought I should ask this at the start.
I think I watched this last year because Liz hadn't seen all of the Chucky films, so we're sort of making our way through them.
Did she enjoy it?
She loved it. She thought it was great. Every so often she's like, "Oh, we should watch Chucky again." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So it's definitely a go-to for her. So yeah, it's like been a year. I still don't understand the doll thing because I'm like, it's a fucking doll. Like you said earlier, you just hold him down with a broom.
Yeah.
You know, just... Oh, okay. I'm just going to stand on you.
I can only assume that being his voodoo, he may have a lot of mass.
Quite possibly. Sure.
If you have to let that go, it is a doll. You can't argue.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to be the realistic person because, you know, I don't like to use logic when it comes to horror films. But like, out of all of them, I'm like, I would probably be fine against you.
Did the foster lady survive?
No. She died.
I wrote that in my thing. There's not many people in this film.
No,
as an actor,
and there's not a lot of deaths.
But everyone dies.
Yes.
Every single person dies in this film apart from the main two, like apart from the final girls.
Yep.
And the final boy.
Yeah.
He's the final boy. So I thought the last 10 minutes of this film were like...
It's the best.
Horror gold.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the film was okay. It was just cool.
Yeah.
So it was cool, but like, I thought it really needed to show the deaths a bit more.
Yeah.
And have like that, you know, you didn't really see any people carnage.
No.
And I reckon that might have been in response from the first one, where I think you saw a lot of people carnage.
Yes.
And they might have got a bit of like, or maybe they got told that you can go as ham as you want killing the doll, but just don't show as much killing of people.
Yeah,
and it got it a better rating or something like that. I don't think it was rated R.
No.
Where if they showed the people killing, they probably would have got an R on it.
This is essentially like, yeah, like we say.
They said fuck heaps, though.
The best part of this film is literally the last 10 minutes. And, like, this is where it all just goes, like, crazy batshit insane. But
it's still interesting up until that point. It's just not...
It's just not a lot is happening.
Yeah.
So I think for a film that's so short as well, which, again, I fucking love the length of this film. I watched it very quickly, which, you know, unlike me, it usually takes me a lot of stressing out to sit down and watch a film. Yeah, so not as much gore as I would have wanted, but also it makes up for it with how they just fucked up
How much
Chucky.
doll carnage. And as I said, I've always loved like a doll carnage, a critter carnage, the carnage of the main guy.
Yeah.
You were getting run through the ring. And this is like, I reckon, the ultimate run through the ring. This is what I always remember. When I think of Child's Play 2, I think of like the bad guy getting the most fucked over at the end of any film. It's not just a quick death. It is like the ultimate killing of a character. It's like there's some pretty good Jasons like killings, the way he gets fucked up a lot, but this is like a new level, like melting, like everything's happening to him. Arms chopped off, like.
Have you seen a lot of the newer ones?
No, I haven't. I've seen all I've ever seen is like this one, the third one, Seed of Chucky, Bride of Chucky, and that's it.
Yeah, okay. The ones after, like Seed of Chucky for me is kind of where it starts to like. It jumps the shark a bit.
Oh, yeah.
I really, like, I've got a real big soft spot for Bride of Chucky. Like, that's fantastic. But then the others are just, they start to get real bad.
Wasn't there one this year? Or last year?
Oh, there was the reboot last year, which was fucking garbage.
Did the Chucky doll have all the lines and shit?
It kind of did, and it was voiced by Mark Hamill, which kind of gave it a little bit of cred. But the fact that the doll looked absolutely stupid.
But didn't look like him.
No, because it's not... Because they're still going with this Chucky franchise. So they've basically created a whole new... So we've got this Chucky and then we've got that Chucky.
Oh.
So I don't think anything's going to be greenlit for a second one. But yeah.
That's fair enough. I love the Chucky voice. I loved his lines. I love the doll carnage. And I just love how many... there was... all the practical effects and how many dolls they must have had, how many little hands, little doll hands that can actually grab shit. Little doll hands. I gave it a, what'd you give it?
I definitely gave this a C. It is a classic.
Yep. I said I gave it a classic that's way worth a watch.
Definitely. You can also probably sit down and watch it.
It's a bit of a beer and chicken winger.
Yep.
A beer chicken winger. A classic worth a watch with all your mates. Like it's a funny film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done. Easy. So, next week, I figured, because our next episode comes out around the 16th of February, which is just a couple of days after Valentine's Day. So I thought we would watch My Bloody Valentine.
Is that the one that's got like the guy in like a gas mask?
Yes. Yeah. So we're going to watch the 1981 version, not the remake.
Oh, is there a remake? Okay, cool.
Of course there is.
Cool. I have never seen this. I'm throwing it out there. I have no idea what it's about at all.
Cool.
I never got it because I had the word Valentine in the name, and the front just had like, it looked like a guy. It was like a pilot. It looked like with a gas mask or a soldier with blood running down his face or something.
Yep.
If I remember right, is that the cover?
Yes. And then because the one that they did in the early mid 2000s, it was like a 3D version.
Oh shit!
So
All right, I'm down. I'm happy. I'm always psyched to watch a film I've never seen, but I always remember. So this is this is definitely one of those ones that sort of we're trying to keep to some more classic big name films just for the little meanwhile. But yeah, so I feel that this is a good romantic option. Nice.
Great. Thanks, guys. You've been listening to TerrorVision Horror Podcast with Dan and Jennifer. We are available on all major podcasting services and also on the YouTube. But no matter where you choose to consume us, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment or a review, and share with all your friends. We also have an Instagram at TerrorVision Pod, which will keep you up to date with upcoming episodes, trivia, and of course memes that are definitely 3 years old by now. If you would like to contact us directly, you can do so via Gmail, terrorvisionpod@gmail.com. Let us know what you want us to watch or discuss. And of course, we are on Facebook as well. We're pretty heavy on there.
The Farshay book.
Yeah, the Farshay book.
The Boomer book.
Boomer book. And our opening and closing music is Void Swirl by Sister Wife.
And, you can come visit me at Greenlight Comics in the city. And that's it. In Adelaide. Come and have a look. Poke a stick at me.
Yeah.
Hold me back with a broom.
Yep.
Like a Chucky doll. And until next week, may all your dreams
be nightmares.